Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Construction Specifiers Democast on FRIIA by Marco Beverage Systems. My name is Nithya, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. Before I introduce the speaker, please note your mics are muted, and it would be best if you turn on the speaker view. That said, if you have any questions for our speaker, feel free to post them in the Q&A forum. We will address as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. If you have any connectivity or Zoom related questions, you can use the chat feature to communicate with us, and we'll do our best to help you. Today's presentation is being recorded. It will be available on the Construction Specifiers website, so you can access it whenever you need to. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Matt Dudley is the East Coast Business Development Manager at Marco Beverage Systems. In today's presentation, Matt will provide an overview of Marco's undercounter water delivery system. With that, I'll turn things over to Matt.
Hi, thank you very much, Nithya, and thank you for having me on today. I appreciate all those that are tuning in, and I look forward to sharing with you more about our FRIIA hot, cold, and sparkling system. So I imagine that most people tuning in are probably not familiar with Marco, and so I wanted to give just a little bit of background on Marco Beverage Systems, just so you're aware. So Marco is a manufacturer of water delivery and coffee brewing equipment. We've been around since 1980, actually. We're based in Dublin, Ireland, and that's where most of our equipment is manufactured, as well as where our headquarters is. We do distribute and sell globally, so we have offices around the world, and our office here in the US is located in Seattle. So we have been striving to really create excellence in the beverage experience, as the slide said, since 1980. So what that has looked like for us is largely all about innovation. So an example of that would be our Uber boiler. So the Uber boiler was something we introduced into specialty coffee around the world in 2008, and it featured a really unique piece of equipment, and then that was an under-counter hot water delivery system, and then along with delivering really precise hot water temperature, really precise volumes, and was really a groundbreaking piece of equipment in the specialty coffee industry. We then kind of piggybacked on that and developed the Marco SP9, which basically automated the pour over process. So if you've ever been in a high-end coffee shop and you've seen a barista hand pouring coffee, the SP9 automated that process and made it a very consistent cup of coffee as a result. We then took we saw a need for multiple temperatures of hot water in the marketplace for teas and for other needs. And so in 2016, we developed the Mix, which gave users the ability to have 3 temperatures of hot water from either an under-counter format or a countertop format, either one. And then we took the learnings from that and developed what we're going to talk about today, our FRIIA system. FRIIA basically is our under-counter mix boiler and adds on a sparkling and still chilled water system as well. So I've got a quick little video to share on FRIIA, and apologies up front, we couldn't get the audio to carry through on Zoom, so it's a silent movie, but it's only about 15 seconds long, so bear with me. So FRIIA produces cold water, hot water, and sparkling water. And so from that, you can see in the video, they're able to produce a really wide, broad range of different beverages, all from one really small, compact unit. So when we first released FRIIA, we released it as a cold, hot, and sparkling system. So that was the only format that you could buy it in. What we didn't realize there was going to be a lot of demand for kind of a bespoke FRIIA system. So some people don't need hot water and they only want cold and sparkling. Others didn't need sparkling and only wanted cold and hot. So now we will be rolling out in the next month a 2-button version that will accommodate those needs. So this is what that looks like with a cold and sparkling 2-button, a hot and cold 2-button, and then a cold only 1-button. And as of March, unfortunately, 1-button has become 1 button too many for a lot of scenarios, and people are looking for touchless solutions. So we are now in the development of a hands-free FRIIA system. We'll have it introduced in the fall, and it'll be available for cold only, and operates off of an infrared sensor built into the nose of the font. And when I say font, what I mean is the dispenser on top is our language we use for that. So I am going to now show you, I've got in my office here a FRIIA system, and so bear with me here. Stop. One second. Okay, so I'm going to show you our FRIIA system. Okay, my cameraman here. All right, so this is our FRIIA HCS system. So hot, cold, and sparkling. What most people notice about Marco equipment when they first see it is the design. All of our equipment, including FRIIA, is really designed with aesthetics in mind, and you can see that, you know, when you're first looking at it. So next thing is the size of FRIIA. So it only, on the countertop, it's going to take up about 5 inches of width, a little less than 5 inches, and about 7 inches of depth. So it's really small and compact for what it does. And so if I am a an employee in a break room and I want to fill up my water bottle, then I can have cold, still water. Or if I am a bartender in a bar and I want to have a sparkling lemonade, then I can have my sparkling lemonade. Or if I want an afternoon tea, then I can have my hot tea, all from one small, compact piece of equipment. So we'll take a peek underneath, because there's some advantages that FRIIA offers underneath the hood as well. So you can see that FRIIA itself is really small and compact, even underneath the counter. So I'll walk you through the components. So this is our hot water boiler. Obviously, it's what produces the hot water. It's a 3-liter boiler, but you can buy it in several different component sizes. So if you have a high hot water demand, you can get this in a larger 8-liter size, and that's called the FRIIA HCS Plus. You can also choose whether you want it in 110 volt format or 220 volt format. So if you want it, if you have a high hot water need and you have the power available, you can order it in a 220 volt format. If you have just a normal hot water need, it's going into a break room or something like that, then 110 volt will be fine, and you can order it that way. Next is this is the chiller carbonator. And if you're only going to get if you're going to get a system without hot water, then you don't need the boiler at all. So it would only be the chiller and carbonator underneath the counter. And just a couple of things to note with the chiller carbonator, it is small and compact, but powerful. So it's an aluminum block chiller. It's perfect for any by-the-cup needs. So if anybody is filling up cups or water bottles every now and then or anything like that, this chiller will be great. If, however, it's a restaurant and they're doing table after table after table of cold or sparkling water for the entire place and high demand, then this would probably not fulfill that need. But 95% of the needs, this chiller and carbonator will be great for. And then last is our, you have a CO2 source. You can use pretty much any CO2 source available. So next we will talk about our new fonts. So first thing I want to point out is that these fonts come in different heights. So you can order a 12-inch font like this, or a 9-inch font like this, depending on what you need. The 12-inch font we don't recommend for hot water due to splashing. So only ordering the 9-inch font for anything that involves hot. But this is our 2-button font, which can be, again, either hot and cold or cold and sparkling. If you wanted, it could be hot and sparkling, any combination of the three that you wanted. And then our 1-button font here. And as I mentioned, we have developed a touch-free, hands-free font. You can see it has no buttons on it. The infrared sensors are under here. This is a prototype model, working prototype, but we are still in the final stages of development, and we'll have the final model of the hands-free FRIIA out in the coming months. So I wanted to talk about one other, speaking of hands-free, one other piece of equipment that we developed, which is actually a small part, so it's an accessory, and it's our hands-free adapter that can be used on any Tomlinson-style tap. So it can be used on our urns or our hot water boilers. It can be used on pretty much any piece of equipment with the Tomlinson-style tap. The urns can get a bit tricky with this safety bar. Some of them won't accommodate it, some of them will. So it's kind of on a case-by-case basis with that. But it basically turns this Tomlinson-style tap into a hands-free dispenser. So I can just take my cup, push it, and it dispenses from there on either one. And that's an accessory. It doesn't require an engineer to put it in. There's a wing nut on the back of it and a screw, and that's that. So with that, that's what I have to show you. What questions do you have?
Thank you, Matt. Now we have some time for questions. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A forum, and I will ask Matt to answer them. Matt, the first question is, can we use FRIIA for single-family homes? And if so, what's the spec?
You can. So we are not actively going after that business, but we have been spec'd into some higher-end kitchens. And so, yes, you certainly can.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, what's the lead time on the equipment, and does it ship from Ireland?
Yes, so it ships from Seattle, actually. Lead time, we do our best to keep everything in stock. So assuming it's in stock, the lead time is as soon as it's ordered, then we'll ship it, or ordered and paid for, then we will ship it, and so it's just transit time.
Okay, thank you. The next question. If I go with cold only, do I still need to spec for the hot water machine under the counter?
No. So if anything with just cold only or cold and sparkling would not require the hot water under the counter.
Okay, thanks. The next question. Is the button-free tap for cold water only?
Yes. The button-free tap is for cold water only. We have brainstormed and thought about ways to do hot, touchless, and still, are still working on that. But obviously that gets tricky from a liability and a safety perspective.
Understood. The next question. What type of water filtration is required for the FRIIA?
So for the cold portion, we recommend 2 different filters. One for the hot and one for the cold. For the cold, all you really need is a taste and odor filter. For the hot, a type of filter that is going to minimize scale hot water is a little bit more challenging to recommend a specific filter for because it all depends on what water you're starting with.
Right.
So what we typically do is we have some specs for what water needs to be in our equipment. So what the finished water after filtration needs to look like, we can help you with that, and then have you consult with a filtration expert to get you to that spec.
Okay. Thank you. Now, does this thing need to be connected to a plumbing drain line?
It doesn't have to be. So the drip tray does have, you can see here, and this, since it's portable, I've got a bucket. So it's got a flexible line that you would then run to a drain.
Okay. Thank you.
But outside of that,
sorry.
Outside of the font, no other drainage needed.
Okay. Thank you. The next question. Any issues with installation of CO2? Do regular techs need additional training?
No. So, it depends on their comfort level, but no. It comes with a CO2 regulator that we provide, and it's pretty straightforward. We have installation videos on YouTube on how to install FRIIA, and then we have techs on call as well to assist.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Can I get the taps without the grate, and can they be installed over a sink, for example?
Yes. So you don't have to use the drip tray. The font installs into the drip tray, right, and is locked in place with a little notch so that it can't easily turn. So you wouldn't have, if you didn't have the drip tray, you could more easily turn it, but you could certainly install it into a sink or anything else without that drip tray. Or if you had like a custom drip pan or anything like that, sure, you could use that.
Right. Thank you. The next question. What cleaning or maintenance is required for FRIIA?
Sure. Just a couple of basic things other than, wiping down and, the outside. The only things required with the chiller are going to be every 6 months to clean off the cooling coils that are on the backside of it, and then to run a cleaning cycle. So ideally with your filter, with your taste and odor filter, you would have a blank cartridge that you would fill with a cleaner that you would then run through the cold line and run through the sparkling line, and then flush it. But it's really simple to do, and all the instructions for it are in our instruction manual. As for the hot, really the only maintenance to do on that would be descaling whenever it needed it. Ideally, if you have the proper filtration on there, then it doesn't need it very often at all.
Thank you. And the next question, does FRIIA need the same kind of ventilation as a standard refrigerator?
Yes. So all of our ventilation guidelines are on our FRIIA spec sheets, and those are really detailed in terms of where the ventilation needs to take place. I mean, where it needs to be inside of the cabinet, and whether you need a fan and things like that. All of that is laid out on the spec sheets.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Next question. Are CAD drawings available?
Yes.
Okay.
Also on our website.
Okay. Thanks. The next question. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and this is also, for those of you familiar and that use auto quotes, this is all on auto quotes as well.
Okay. Thank you. The next question. Does your mains water affect FRIIA?
Is our mains water, so I would assume you're talking about water pressure? Yes. So that's one thing that I meant to point out. If you notice, especially on the cold, still water, it is affected by line pressure. So if you have low line pressure, you can expect a lower rate of flow on the cold water, and which I do experience right now because I'm operating it off of a flow jet pump, which is really slow. And so, so the water is load.
Thank you, Matt. And the next question, what's the warranty?
Warranty is 1 year parts and labor, but it depends on how you bought it. If you bought it, you know, for our wholesale clients, we offer them a 1 year parts warranty, and then they provide the labor on it. So if you're a dealer, it's typically 1 year parts and labor.
Thank you. The next question, do you recharge the CO2 bottle, or will any CO2 bottle serve?
So we don't have anything to do with the CO2 bottle itself. That's just one that I picked up. You know, you just want to make sure that it's, you know, a CO2 that is meant for beverages.
Right. Okay. Okay. There's another question about CO2. It's asking what's the participant wants to know what is inline capacity or limit for the CO2 bottle.
So in terms of pressure, 60 psi is kind of the max pressure that we want, about 4 bars. And the type, you know, in terms of the carbonation that FRIIA produces, it's not quite a, you know, a hard seltzer where you open the can and drink it and it really like burns the back of your throat. It's not quite that. It's more of a soft carbonation, but still, it's a very adequate carbonation.
Thank you, Matt. The next question is FRIIA NSF or UL listed?
It is both.
Okay, thanks. Does the dispense font have to be set up near the chiller for the FRIIA?
So there is a range, and I can't remember exactly what that range is off the top of my head, but one of the biggest constraints is this wire here. So you can see the length of the wire is probably 18 inches, and so you are constrained by the length of the wire to the chiller.
Right.
Again, that is outlined on our spec sheets.
Got it. Thank you. Is inline filtered provided or filtered soft water required for FRIIA?
It is not provided, so that would be something that you would get.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Can you change the carbonation? Can I have more or less sparkling?
You can. So you, with the CO2 regulator, is how you would do that. You would just increase or decrease the regulator, and you would do that. Again, there's a max to that of 60 psi.
Okay, thank you, Matt. I have another question. How can I specify FRIIA into a project?
Yeah, so through auto quotes is the most common way that we have it specified yet.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, how much space is required under the counter for FRIIA?
So for assuming that it's the HCS system, so you have hot and sparkling, or hot and chilled, you need about a 2 by 2 by 2 cube at least, is it. So 2 by 2 by 2, and that doesn't include, though, your CO2 tank. So, you know, it might be that your CO2 tank is in the next cabinet over, or that it's a central CO2 system, or that you have a bigger cabinet than 2 by 2 by 2, and you can fit it in there.
Thank you. And the next question, can you connect more than one dispense font to a chiller for FRIIA?
No, it is one font only. Now, if you wanted to, for the chiller, if you wanted 2 fonts and one to be separate for hot water, you could just have our mix boiler with our mix font, because we also have a font that looks just like this for mix, and then just have a cold and sparkling font beside it. So you would have 2 fonts, but just one for the chiller.
Thank you. The next question, what is the estimated pricing for under cabinet water cooler, chiller, and CO2 unit with faucet?
So that is, list price is right at $6,000 US and change. That's the list price.
Okay, Thank you, Matt. And the next question. Is Marco developing a system for dispensing cold brew and nitro coffee?
We are. I was going to speak on it today, but I won't. But we're developing a system called Poured, P-O-U-R''D, that will be that will deal with cold brew and also even hot draft coffee as well. And so be on the lookout for that. We'll have a release coming out on that later this year.
Okay, thank you. One more question. What is the cabinet size for 3 nozzle? I'm not sure if we went through over that.
What's the, one more time?
What is the cabinet size for 3 nozzle?
For 3 nozzles. So this is so for the HCS, that's the 2 by 2 by 2. So
right.
2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet.
Okay, got it. The next question. Will the FRIIA one day be compatible with Uber font style?
That is not in our plans, but you know, who knows? But that's not in our current plans now.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Matt. I'm just going to wait and maybe some readers in part have a question. Just going to give them a few seconds before we close out. Okay. Well, I guess no more questions. Well, thank you, Matt, for joining us today and explaining Marco's undercounter water delivery system. A recording of the democast will be available 1 week from now. We will also send a link to the recording via email to all registrants. Thank you to everyone who attended. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.